So what I'd like to do this morning is share a better way to live. I feel like I've learned a better way for me to live over these last few years, and I want to share it with you this morning. And it goes back to things that are about faith. And I've shared with you before, I spent a lot of my life in church and in teaching people about faith, and feel like just since I've gotten out of church that I really learned about what faith is and how to live by faith. And it's not at all having really anything to do with what we typically associate as a faithful life, quote unquote. It's not so much about being involved in some sort of religious activity as it is what is the mindset that you bring to life every day. How are you approaching life every day? And I want to share 5 things with you this morning that's going to help you get what you want out of life. All right, 5 things that are going to help you live more faithful. And again, faithful simply being living a life that's less doubtful, right? So the opposite of that is going to be living more faithful, having more faith behind what you're doing. And it's 5 simple steps, and I want to share these steps with you here in just a quick amount of time for you to get on with your day today. Step 1 is figure out what you want. I think that's the one thing that stops so many people from getting what they want out of life, is they've never stopped and taken a few minutes to ask themselves, what is it that I really want? And get specific about that. Specifically, what do you want? And that's not something that easily comes with you just listening to this video and saying, hey, I want $1 million, or I want a new car, or whatever might pop in your mind. But get specific. What is it that you want for yourself, for your family, whatever? And be very specific about that. Write it down on a sheet of paper. This is what I want. And number 2, I want you to ask yourself, what would I feel if I had that thing that I want? Okay, what would be the feeling that I would get when I associate that thing being in my life? So let's say you're renting a house right now and you want to buy a house. And that's your want. I want to own my own home. So that's your specific thing, number 1. Number 2 is, okay, how are you going to feel once you have that home? And really get the sense of what that feeling is in your mind and in your heart. How would you feel? What's it going to feel like when you get that home? When you live in that home that you want to get, okay? Now, number 3, now that you have that specific thing in your mind, and now that you have that specific feeling in your mind and in your heart about how you would feel if you had it, and you're actually feeling that feeling, number 3 is ask for it. Ask for it. That's really simple. Ask for the thing that you want. And ask it of whoever you believe is the one in charge for giving you that thing. If you believe it's God, ask God. If you believe it's the universe, the all-knowing, the infinite intelligence, your mom, whoever you think it is, ask for it. We don't get in life the things that we want many times because we just simply don't ask for them. So ask for it, okay? So step number 1, decide what you want. Step number 2, feel what it would feel like if you already had that thing. Step number 3 is ask for it, okay? Now, step number 4, after you ask for that thing, now I really want you to feel like you've already got it, okay? So you've already know what it would feel like if you had the house that you really want. And now what I want you to do is I want you to feel the feeling that you already have it. What is that feeling? And it's possible for you to feel that feeling right now. All you've got to do is spend a few moments thinking about what you want and how you would feel if you had it, and get yourself into a good feeling about that. How would it feel if I had my own house, if I owned my own home? and put a picture in your head about what that would be like. You're out in the backyard with your kids, you're having friends over and you're cooking out. Your whatever it is, whatever feeling you can get in your heart, really feel that feeling. Okay, really get that feeling in your heart. That's step 4. And step 5, just simply wait for it to happen, because it's going to. Now, here's how we normally live our lives. Normally, we don't get specific about what we want. When we think about what we want, we think about how hard it's going to be for us to get that thing that we want. And then we associate the feeling of, man, I'm never going to get that thing because that house is too expensive, or that car is too expensive, or it just costs way too much to get that. And so we fill our minds and our hearts with all this negative thought, never really being specific about what we want, and then not getting what we want, never having really asked what we want, and then we convince ourselves that it wasn't God's will for us to get it in the first place. How crazy. How crazy are we as people? And some of you are smiling as you're listening to this because you know it's the truth. So many of us don't get what we want because we don't ask for it in the first place, and then we don't believe it's going to happen in the second place. We just fill our minds, we fill our hearts with negative feelings about how it's probably not going to happen, as opposed to it probably is going to happen. And that virtually guarantees you not getting it. And so now we have to create a belief system around that tells us that it must not have been God's will in the first place. And that's why we're crazy people. Jesus says this, I had to write this down. In Mark 11:23, listen to these words, and then I'll let you go about your day. Whoever says and doesn't doubt in his heart, but believes what he says, it will happen. It will be done for him. For this reason I say to you, whatever you pray and ask for, believe that you have received it, and it will be done for you. That's pretty powerful right there. Ask. Believe that you've already received it. How do you believe that you've already received it? Well, you feel the feeling that you've already got it. And then you wait for it to come, and it's going to come your way. It's going to happen. It can't not happen at that point. So that's a better way to live, isn't it? Isn't that a better way to live? Isn't that a more purposeful, more intentional way to live? That's something that I've learned. I'm still trying to perfect it. But I wanted to share that with you this morning. Have a great day today, and we'll see you next time.